people. It's actually pretty easy. There's a lot of people who drive by now that actually do recognize me because I wave. I acknowledge their existence even if they don't give me anything. There's about, I don't know, 3 or 4 days altogether of panhandling that I've been doing that. And now there's a lot of people that when they drive into the lot, they wave at me on their way in. That's pretty cool. Hopefully it's helping to show that we're people too. God, it feels good to scratch my head. Although I got a few extra marks on it because I was fishing through the woods and walked under a blackberry bush yesterday. So there's a feller, he's one of the guys that I was telling you about that's, you know, he is delusional. He thinks that there's CIA brainwave rays that are being shot into his head and stuff like that. And he's got a tracking device that, I don't know, it's really delusional is what it is. But he's a nice enough guy. He's not violent. When there was a guy here last week that was going to get violent with him, you know, he stepped away and did the right thing. Even as delusional as the man is, he knew better than to get violent. So he called the cops on that other guy. Now, here on the streets, the number one rule is you never talk to cops. If you're a female, you're allowed to get away with it. You get leniency. Kind of like the situation there in the Dalles where those 3 women were allowed to call the cops, but if I talk to the cops, it must mean I'm a rat. Of course, they were angry because those women had been doing stuff wrong too. Now, that guy this morning who definitely is delusional, whether or not he's schizophrenic, well, you'll have to ask a doctor. I'm not qualified to diagnose any of those things. All right, some of those things I might have the ability to diagnose, but as far as it being an accredited diagnosis, yeah, no, I don't have the paperwork. I don't have the stuff that says I went to a college and got an education in that. So even though I might be able to identify somebody who's delusional or schizophrenic, indigestion. The thing is that a lot of my decisions are based on different lines than yours. I base it on the individual. You base it on the label. Like if someone's schizophrenic and they're raped, you just assume that they must not have been raped because they're schizophrenic. That's just dumb. Anyway, that gentleman, the guy that he called the cops on, was coming over here to fly a sign this morning, and I made sure that I got to this spot first. It's not just a matter of cutting him off from making an income, because that's not what it's about at all. What it's about is making sure that, you know, somebody who's, how do I explain it? Somebody who's intentionally going out of their way to make things worse for everybody. You know, when he gets done here at the corner and he's already cursed out 3 or 4 homeless people just for walking by him, and You know, he's trying to strong arm disabled people into moving. You know, that's not something I'm okay with. So I came over here to sit down, figured I'd try to make a few dollars and wait for the gentleman to show up that usually sits here. Sometimes he shows up, sometimes he don't, so I figured I'd fly a sign till he got back. Well, he met with me a few minutes ago, and then he went in to take care of some Western Union stuff, and he's on his way back now. So I'm going to let him have the spot, and I'm going to go fly a little further away. Most of it was just making sure that that guy who makes it bad for all of us isn't here, making it worse for all of us, making all homeless people look bad. And it's not he's intending on making all homeless people look bad, but that's the way the public looks at it. That's the way the public sees it. They see one homeless person doing that, and all of a sudden all homeless people are that way. See what?
You make money?
I did not. I didn't make one red penny. On the bright side, I'm getting ready to run over there to the store. I'll be back in about 10 or 15 minutes. If you got everything taken care of and you're ready to take the spot.
$300 in cash.
The way I figure it, I'd rather give it to you than the other guy.
$20 more than I'm going to take out. Huh?
I said, I'd definitely rather give it up to you than that other guy.
I need Buck's money, then you can have it.
Yes, sir.
Have it back there.
I'm going to go on that corner and look stupid after I get back from the store. So I'll pay attention.
Picked up some money from her. I'm going to go get the St. Helens as soon as the next bus comes. And I need to make bus money. So I can send her more than 200.
Well, I'm definitely going to get up out of your way so you can make some money. That guy,
Oh, gee, brother.
the fact that you had to call the cops on that guy and it got that bad is serious enough that I don't want him
You have
here.
his dog with him?
No,
One guy has a dog with him and it does me in, man.
it is the guy with the dog. He just didn't have his dog with him this time. All right, I'll see you shortly. Now the officers with Tom, they had the suggestion of me taking him to Portland. He wants to do it independently. He doesn't want to create issues, and of course he is capable of taking care of it on his own, so I should let him. This is the camp that they had. It's trashed. I'm not gonna go saying who it was that was trashing the place because I wasn't there most of the time. I wasn't there when they packed up their shit and moved either. Go ahead. Sorry. That was smart of me. I was paying so much attention to my phone, I walked out right in front of a big ass Tahoe. Gary Jepson taught me never pull out in front of something bigger than you are. That Tahoe is far larger than I. So, the gentleman who took over, he's got it pretty well together. He's the one that had to call the cops on that other guy, but the dude's just a dick, you know? Like, he was out there yelling the other day because people didn't give him money, and you know, I understand the frustration. I get frustrated too. I'd like to be able to fucking work. I'd like to have my bearings together and my head straight enough to be able to actually go to work and actually focus on the task at hand. But the reality is, I can't work.
not physically or mentally, because of the damages that I have endured, because of the abuse that I have endured. Now, don't get me wrong, I already knew my family wasn't gonna give a holy fucking goddamn. They never have, they never gonna. That's why I went to my friends. And of course, they just wanted to blow smoke up my ass. Oh, Sean, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to think this way, you need to think that way. You need to go spend a bunch of resources to do a bunch of stuff that we're not going to help you with. You're going to get blown off because you have to go in by yourself. And no matter how many times I tell them this, it's like it goes in one ear and out the fucking other. The worst part is trying to explain it to a woman. Because instead of focusing on the victim, I gotta listen to all this, men are this and men are that. Jesus fucking Christ. Are you gonna make it a sexist issue? Is that what this is? You're gonna offer to help, but then you're gonna, of course, do everything but. You're gonna try to make me feel like shit, like I'm less of a human being or not a human being at all because I have a penis. If you weren't gonna help me because I have a penis, you should have said that from the start. Anyway, you know how we end these videos, or at least you ought to by now. Good to be rid of you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper, and no victim left behind.